give life, Scott Donald.
Mid-1990s, my family and I lived in Palm Springs area. And there for most of the 1990s. Good experience. One of the things we enjoyed most, my wife Debbie and I, that is, was serving as volunteers for a local crisis pregnancy center. That crisis pregnancy center was in Indio. It was called Birthright of the Desert. My wife was able to fill a number of roles at that center. She was a receptionist. She was an office clerk. She served as a counselor, probably the job she enjoyed the most. She participated in committees and fundraising. My opportunities to serve were a little more limited than that. Occasionally I'd go over on the weekends and help clean up. But I also had the opportunity to do some presentations, public speaking, to churches and to community groups to help spread the word about the services of crisis pregnancy offers. One thing that really stands out in my mind that still impacts me to this day was a phone call my wife received. About 16 years ago, when she was serving as a receptionist at Birthright, a young lady named Kim called. I don't have the exact details of the conversation, but here's the summary. Kim said, "Debbie, I'm 18 years old, got a 12-month-old daughter, I'm pregnant, not when. My father's told me if I choose to have this baby, I'm no longer welcome at home. If I want to keep the baby, I have to move out." Kim's boyfriend's father essentially said the same thing. He was encouraging abortion. "Debbie," she said, "what do I do? What are my choices? The way I see it, I have three. If I want to stay at home, I either have to give my baby up for adoption or I have to abort. If I don't want to stay at home, if I want to live somewhere else, I can keep my baby. How can you help?" She called the right person, she called the right place. Birthright of the Desert. Now, just like other crisis pregnancy centers throughout the United States, this is an organization, a nonprofit organization, which consists entirely of volunteers. Was there another place that Kim could turn to? If you think about it, were there options besides a crisis pregnancy center that Kim could go to? TV shows, they're not supported. They don't present a realistic picture of the consequences promiscuity. Some girls might be able to go to their parents, but as we know in Kim's case, they weren't supportive. Other girls might consider their church, but chances are churches are going to refer them to a crisis pregnancy center. After all, they're the most well-equipped to do with the questions that come up. And think about it. You're a teenage girl, a young woman, facing an unplanned pregnancy. What a monumental decision. What do you do? Suddenly, if you're young, if you're underage, you're thrust in the world of adulthood. How do I make this decision? And you may not realize it, but there is a life hanging on the choice you make. Fortunately, Kim called Birthright, and from there she was introduced to a variety of services that she could benefit from. For example, Birthright, like other crisis pregnancy centers, provides information on resources, financial resources, clothing, whether that be maternity clothes, baby clothes, educational information, counseling with a layperson such as my wife, post-abortion counseling, counseling during pregnancy, information on sexually transmitted diseases, educational information about fetal development. I'm going to pass around something my wife used. This is a model of an 11 to 12-week-old fetus, which simply means little one. Birthright, I imagine, like other crisis pregnancy centers, uses these models so young ladies can see the different stages of growth. Now, this 11 to 12-week-old fetus has a beating heart, my wife might say, is able to clench its fist, is able to squint, and can swallow. These were very effective tools, as you might imagine. And today, many crisis pregnancy centers also use ultrasound so the mothers to be can see the children growing within them. All of these centers are staffed by volunteers. They are nonprofit organizations. Their primary purpose is to provide information to help the mother make a wise decision. As I mentioned before, they're available after abortion, should that be what the mother chooses to do. Because these centers are nonprofit organizations, they rely on churches, on other organizations, and individuals to support them. And tonight, I want to bring to you 3 ways in which you can support your local crisis pregnancy center. In San Diego, we are fortunate to have many of them. In fact, right here in North County, Pregnancy Resource Center, which this church supports in Oceanside, Birth Choice of San Marcos, and other centers in Fallbrook, Poway, San Diego. The first way I'd like you to challenge to consider is simply to give it your time. These centers are looking for people who maybe can take donated clothing items and clean them. Maybe coming to the office on weekends and helping clean the office. Maybe you've got financial considerations. Maybe you can donate, instead of money, your time to provide materials, information, computers, help to organize the office. Since I'm speaking to the Toastmasters group, we also perhaps have a unique way that we can help out. As I mentioned a dozen years ago, I was a speaker for Birthright. I've recently signed up to be a volunteer speaker as well for the Pregnancy Resource Center in Oceanside. Birth Choice of San Marcos has a speakers bureau. If you're at all interested, you can contact them to see if you would like to represent them and provide the word about what the services are they provide. And guys, speaking to you particularly, it's unusual to have a male represent a crisis pregnancy center. The third way that you can help out is simply this, to pray. Of course, your prayer would be appreciated because we need to know, we need to make sure the word is spread about the services these centers provide, to make sure young ladies, girls have the information they need before they make that very important, life-changing decision. I'd like to end my speech with the conclusion of the story about Kim. Now, where I left it was, she was talking with my wife, what do I do? One of the services that Birthright provided was a host home. Debbie and I decided to do just that. Kim moved in with us. Our little family of 3 became a family of 5 for the last months of her pregnancy. I'm happy to report she gave birth to a baby boy named Andrew. Soon after, she was able to move out and find housing on her own. She sent us a thank you note. That thank you note included a picture of Andrew. On the back of that picture, it said this: "Thank you for helping my mom give me life." Folks, as volunteers, we can do just that.